Okay. Hi, I'm Tyler Sattler, and I teach Spanish in a rural Kansas school at Rollins County High School. And then I'm here with Christopher and Dale, and they'll kind of introduce themselves as well.
Yeah, I'm Christopher Dirks. I teach high school math in Hood River, Oregon.
Hey, I'm Dale Hissom. I teach junior ROTC in high school in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I guess we threw it back to you, Tyler.
All right, that sounds good.
No pressure.
So we decided to discuss some of question 3. The question was consider the influence of technology on education and how it can influence or develop develop and help the delivery of different curriculum. So I kind of looked a lot into the Swivel link, that link called Swivel. It's the video observation kind of robot almost. And I thought that was pretty interesting that we have the technology where this kind of video camera will follow a teacher around a room. I mean, that's probably used in a lot bigger schools, but I don't know, it was interesting to me that they're not just recording from like a webcam or a phone anymore. Like they have an actual kind of virtual assistant that's helping them out, helping them record throughout their classrooms. I don't know if you guys looked up that website or not, but I thought it was kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, I've actually had a colleague that went through this program, and she used that. I think she was kind of demoing it actually for Fort Hays. And she thought it was super cool and really useful.
Okay, I'm not that familiar with it as far as, just looking over the links that Dr. Anderson posted there. But as far as now, when you say they just follow the teacher around the room, as far as the video, what are you saying, Tyler? Chris, maybe you can chime in as well. What kind of video and stuff are you referring to as far as what?
So I believe it records you. So you put something on your shirt, and it like tracks your movement through the class. And so if you're doing like a Google Classroom video, you would be able to kind of walk back and forth and use the whiteboard, and the camera would track you.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome.
Yeah. I think that kind of plays into like classroom environment and engagement with like visual and non-visual cues and such too with students, because we can sit in front of our computers like we're doing here and have like limited movement. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of talk with my hands. I point to things while I'm teaching and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that with Swivel, it would kind of make you feel like you're a little more engaged with the teacher, even though you're watching through a screen or from a different area.
Oh yeah.
Yes, especially with what we're all stuck doing right now.
Yeah. For real, that would be way different for us in this times if we had that technology.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the one, and I guess I'll chime in if you guys don't mind. Just one of the platforms I was looking at from one of the other links there posted was the 5G platform. And I think, just off of some of the things I was looking at, I mean, it's incredible. Some of the things that they can do with it, with the speed and with, the one thing was like the mechanical arm that they had there. If you guys got a chance to look at it, I'm like, holy smokes, this is incredible. But as far as like with you, Tyler, and I guess a lot of other schools, is what's the price going to be for all this stuff and everything, if they can afford this. I mean, it's great to have the technology, but if it's kind of, sourced above them, they can't afford it. What's the point really?
Right.
Yeah. Was that the one with the glove and the piano?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So my thought about that was, are we, if that becomes, maybe more accessible to smaller schools or whatever, are we kind of like numbing a little bit of the creativity and the, what students learn from failure? Because my understanding was it kind of like programmed how to play the piano, and then if the student puts the glove on, it just kind of like turns it into muscle memory.
Right, exactly. That's what I got out of it as well.
Yeah, and there's so much that you know, we still are, especially with, again, with all this new stuff we have to learn for online students. There's so much that we learn with failure and with things that don't work. And
Yeah.
that's what stood out to me when I was watching that.
Yeah, that's a great point. I wasn't thinking that on those lines, but that is a great point. I mean, you just do it one time and you got it instead of practice, practice, practice. So yeah,
Right.
good point.
Right. And sometimes that practice, I know with piano, like you hear those notes and you see or you physically feel which like chords you're striking, which keys you're striking. And if you're not doing that repetition, then kind of where's your learning focus there? I know in Spanish we practice a lot of repetition and repeating words over and over again because I mean the more amount of times you say it and hear things, read things, see things, the more you're going to remember it. So that's a really good point.
Yeah. So I guess I'll throw out there what stood out to me next. So looking at the chapter 4 from the reading, she talks a lot about like things that we do based on tradition and like I think it was like 13 years of full school years to work towards graduation and why we're stuck to that as tradition. And I kind of thought, what of that is going to kind of change from the situation that we're all in right now? And talking to Tyler a little bit before, Dale, before you logged on, he said that he has used some of the like virtual reality videos where it kind of puts you in, like the one I watched on here was the deep sea diving one. I don't know if you guys saw that. But it was crazy. Like you just kind of drag around the screen and you can look, all around while you're underwater, and there's this diver kind of explaining things to you. And I'm wondering what of those traditions will kind of change after all of this, because I think there's going to be a new kind of normal. So yeah, I don't know. That's something that stood out to me.
Yeah, I agree, Chris, that this is going to bring out a lot of changes. And also within that same chapter, I think they were talking about, if you got a kid some kids need maybe a couple more years to reach what they want for graduation. Then they said a couple kids are ready to graduate, maybe they're or through with the curriculum, maybe their freshman and sophomore year, when they just tread water, waiting to graduate. And I don't know. There's going to be some changes. I think it's going to be an option, whether if you want to take this class online or maybe more classes offered online. And the point you brought up about the diver and everything, to follow them around virtual and everything. The one thing that it may have been my last class, but the field trip technology, where all the guys can go on a field trip, say to the Statue of Liberty or something, right there in the classroom, and you get a feel just like you're, at the Statue of Liberty, walking up the steps and so forth. I think it's just awesome, what they can do.
Yeah, so with that virtual reality, I'd been using, with Spanish comes culture, obviously, and with the language, you pick up and learn culture and perspectives along the way. And I'd been using Google Arts and Culture, like the Google website for that. And they've built a lot of different virtual reality tours of different museums and areas. But one of the ones that we did earlier in the fall was for the Day of the Dead celebration in Mexico. And a lot of people gather at cemeteries and stuff in Mexico during that time. And so Google went through and kind of recorded these gatherings in virtual reality. So, I mean, we don't have any celebration like that necessarily in the United States, within United States culture. So it was really cool for my students to go through and kind of watch the celebration unfold in a reality that we wouldn't normally see. So I think that really added like a layer of perspective to my class.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and to add to the part that you were talking about, Dale, with some kids are ready earlier, some kids need more time. My first 3 years, so this is my 5th year teaching. My first 3 years, I worked part-time in an alternative school too. And that's a lot of what they talked about. Like it can be used as an accelerated high school. It can be used as an extended high school. It was in its early stages, so a lot of the kids like had probation officers, and it was kind of that demographic.
Right.
But right now, our school already offers you could be full-time or part-time online. and so everybody has their own iPad, and they can take all of their core classes online and then come to the school for their what are they called?
Electives or something.
Electives. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then, or they can do everything online. And so I think forcing all of the teachers, at least at my district, to really get Google Classroom down and all this stuff, I think that there is going to be more options.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. And one thing we've been doing this for about, I guess we just started our third week. But one thing we're running into now, we're about to end the third quarter. I'm pretty sure you guys are somewhere around there. But and then getting the kids ready for the final exams from fourth quarter, and it's we're going to do them or we're not going to do them. I mean, that's way above my pay grade. They have a board meeting tonight to kind of figure that out, what exactly they're going to do, what it's going to look like. But they don't want the kids all, sort of stressed out with everything. And then, oh, I still got exams on top of this and all that. And some, as we stated earlier, some have been able to chime in the Google Classroom. Some don't have connections, don't have anything. They have to do we've issued them hotspots along with Chromebooks and so forth. So, it's a work in progress. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely working. Well, Christopher, I think that's kind of cool that your school has that capability and that already kind of infrastructure to offer online learning, either part-time or full-time for students. It's definitely something different. And I mean, I think some schools in Eastern Kansas have that, but it's probably more unheard of in Kansas. I don't know about where you're at, Dale, but with these super small rural schools, we don't have that infrastructure to do that. And so it's kind of been an interesting thing for the teachers here. I mean, I'm a little more accustomed to it because I've been doing like online learning through Fort Hays and I mean in my own undergrad, but the teachers that have been at the school for 20, 30 years, it's something incredibly new for them. So I think although it's like a learning curve and a learning step for our students and our teachers, it's really good for us because this could be a new reality that's ushered in sooner rather than later.
Yeah, my mom has been teaching. She teaches in the same district, but she's at a middle school, and she's been teaching for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she's had a really hard time, kind of like she loves to see her students and she wants to be there.
Yeah.
But she just sent me a text a few days ago and said like, well, this is more of like me saying goodbye to the old ways of teaching and really forcing myself to kind of catch up and learn what I need to learn.
Yeah, I think it's like an important change, and whether it's good or bad at this point, I don't know. But especially, I can think of some teachers at my school that I had, that my like siblings had, like we've all had them, and they've kind of taught the same way forever. And I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely helping them change and like update their manners and their activities and their methods, which I think is important, especially in something like education where things do change a lot. We can't always just stick with what we're used to, I guess.
You guys are absolutely correct. And with the changes, like the teachers, right there at their retirement age and stuff, it's really making them think, hey, do I stick it out another year or do I go, you know what I'm saying? Because, and that's been the hardest thing for me coming out of the military and coming into the education realm is with the technology that the kids have in their hand. If you don't keep up, I mean, you can get behind. If you don't keep up with them for 6 months, you're so far behind, you're like, you'll never catch up.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of, taking these classes now, the technology classes and so forth, just so I can kind of, get an idea of what they're doing and try to keep up with them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, I think that's pretty awesome because you're right. Like it changes every other month. It feels like there's something new, there's something different. So yeah, sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say same lines. Like this is my 5th year. I'm 27 and I went to this school too. So like, I know a lot of the teachers and it's just every time there's a break, every time there's winter break, every time there's summer, there's something new that, you have to keep up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, forever changing.
Right, right. And then with that, I guess there's like kind of that teacher's option. Like they can either my connection is unstable. Hmm. It said my connection is unstable, so I think we're fine. But
Yeah,
anyway,
mine's got recording. It should be good.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's fine. Um, anyway, what I was saying is like there's that teacher's option to like, I mean, you could almost embrace some of these new technologies, or you could like denounce them to the point of like where they're the worst thing ever. And I mean, with Spanish, I've kind of gone along the way of embracing them. Like, there's an app called Seesaw. I don't know if you guys know about
Yep.
Seesaw.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Seesaw. So, I mean, my students all like use Instagram and Twitter and all these things. I'm like, okay, well, what's a safe environment where we could do things in Spanish and activities in Spanish that's similar to like a social media? So I found Seesaw, and I mean, I use it all the time. Like, instead of doing like workbook pages, we post like conversations and video conversations and such on Seesaw, and then it's like a collaborative environment where we can all comment and post on each other's content, and the kids get to practice doing so in like the target language. So it's definitely a good tool for a communication environment, I think.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of, as you guys know, doing this now, there's a lot of great tools out there, a lot of just different tools that you have to learn, to see which one kind of fits you, I guess, so to
Yeah,
speak. See which one works best for you and your kids, and go with it.
for sure.
Yeah, we've been having department meetings with the math department, and so I'm with the Algebra 1 team and I'm with the Geometry team, and the Algebra 1 team talks about like 5 different apps that they're going to try and use it with like Flipgrid and explain everything in Notability. And then I go to the Geometry one and they're talking about 3 or 4 other ones, and I'm like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh.
Yeah, that's a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the other thing about, having a little bit more experience is I'm more willing to like try things.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Like at first I was like, no, I have to plan out every second. That's got to work. There's no time. Like if something doesn't work, I don't know what to do. And that's the other part with people who are kind of like stuck in their ways a little bit more. It's like, it takes an extra energy and it takes an extra time to kind of have maybe a backup plan. And so I'm just now getting more comfortable with that stuff and kind of flirting with the line of, do I really want to try something new, or is it easier just to do what I've learned from other people? But with all the new technology, there's going to be issues. So Tyler, the Seesaw thing, do you find that everybody keeps it pretty school appropriate, or do you have issues with that?
yeah. Well, fortunately, my biggest class is 18 kids, so I have a group of 18, and I mean, we went through what's appropriate, what's inappropriate. I kind of used my public relations and journalism background to help them with that. Like, I kind of give them a little spiel about like brands and how, like, what's your personal brand, like what are you giving out online, and it's worked so far. So everybody's been completely appropriate and behaved really well on there. I also get like an in-app notification every time somebody posts something. So, I mean, if I'm watching it, I can make sure nothing bad is occurring. There's also like um, tools on there for teachers that like you could make it so if somebody posts, the teacher has to okay that post before it goes through. I don't have
Hmm.
that turned on because I gave my students a little lecture before we started, and everybody said, I mean, yes, that they acknowledge that they understand. So I gave them that trust. And I guess if something occurred where it was inappropriate, we would have that conversation at that point in time. But
Yeah. So I bet that made it a little easier for you to transfer to this kind of learning.
yeah, I done,
Having,
I mean, in my past career, like I did a lot of social media and other type of research, like online tool research. So I kind of knew what I wanted to do from like the second they said, "Oh, we're gonna go online." I was like, "Okay, I've got ideas. I'm ready for this."
yeah.
Um, I can imagine for content where you're not just communicating all the time, like math or science and stuff, where there's big concepts, it could be a lot more difficult. But for me, I've kind of, I don't know, grabbed the bull by the horns, and I'm like I'm doing it, and my students
Yeah.
are having fun in my Zoom meetings. So I'm like, hey, we're doing good.
That's awesome. Especially when you get the kids, all the kids that buy into it. And like you said earlier, Chris, that you've already had 20 reply to what you posted today. I mean, you had 20 turned in today. That's awesome. And then if you can get the kids to buy into it, it's awesome. It's an awesome tool. Whatever
Yeah.
platform you're using, it works great. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So any other big ideas from the chapter on number 3?
I don't know. I think we about covered them, or do we have some more?
I don't really have any more to add. Do you, Chris?
No, I think that's good.
All right, sounds good. Then that's our
Yeah.
discussion for Module 3. Thanks, guys.
All right. Hey, nice meeting you guys. Y'all
Yeah,
take
nice
care.
to meet you.